Leo, come. Yes, good. Good boy. Very good. So when you're luring Leo, here's a bonus. Whenever you're luring him, just let him spin a little. Yes. And then you can add the word spin. So that's the first command you're going to teach him. Come. You're going to teach him this by yourself. Spin. Yes. Very good. Come. Good. Spin. Yes. Very good. Okay. So you're going to teach him that by yourself. So that it gets to a point where when you just stand up and you say spin, I want him to be able to spin. That's your homework. So come. Yes. Very good. Good boy. Spin. Yes, good. Sit. Yes, good boy. Very good boy. And free. Good boy. Hi, I'm with Leo here, and I'm going to be taking you through a reference guide on how you can continue with him when he comes home after training. So when he comes home, what's the first thing you do? You want to get a good space for him where you can keep his crates, right? Now, in order to get him to be potty trained, for example, the foundation is crate training. So he has learned to spend most of his time in a crate and be comfortable with it. And he's only released at specific intervals so that he can poo, pee, and then play. So in the mornings when I let him out, it has become routine for him to poo and pee before we do anything else or before he gets to play. Same thing in the afternoon and same thing in the evening. So if he's not in his crate and he's around all day, just free to walk around, then it's going to be difficult for him to get used to doing it at those specific times. That's why it's important for you to keep him in the crate and then only release him at regular intervals. So I've helped him to adjust to a point where even if you leave him and only release him in the mornings and early evenings, he'll be able to hold especially his poo. As for his pee, he's still a young pup. So he pees a little frequently. So you might see a little bit of pee in his tray when you come in the evening to free him, or when you wake up in the morning to free him. But you're bound not to see poo, okay? And then when you free him, he will go and then he will do his business. He poos and he pees on an AstroTurf mat. So when he steps out, he looks for the mat, he goes there, he pees, and then he runs around a little bit and he realizes, wait, I haven't pooed. And then he goes back to the mat and then he poos. And then when he is done, you can allow him to play and have some fun. And then afterwards, you put him back in the crates. So I always recommend that when he comes out, he spends maximum an hour and a half outside. Give or take, the first 30 minutes is the period where he poos and pees, and the next hour he plays, right? So even an hour is enough. But if you have more time, you can always stretch it to an hour and a half. In the afternoons when you're not available, it's fine. So when you come early evenings, you let him out first thing, he poos, pees, and then you allow him to play and you can also spend time with him. But if you're home during the day and you just want to spend time with him, you can let him out during those periods and then allow him to spend time with you. But whenever you let him out, remember that instinctively he might want to pee. So allow him a few moments to poo or pee, and then you can begin to play together. So the easiest way to do this is to make sure that there's always his mat where he can find it. So if you are in a situation where you are going to be moving to different spaces, then I would recommend that you have a mat in each space so that wherever you are, if he suddenly feels the urge to go and he looks around, he can find the mat. Because he's at the learning stage of everything. And so if he looks around and he can't find the mat, he might be forced to do it wherever it is he finds himself. And if he does that once, it's the beginning of him learning to do the wrong thing all over again. So you really want to avoid that. So you are better off putting the AstroTurf mat in every space that you think he's going to be in. Because he has this routine, now it is easy for you to decide that, when I release him in the morning, instead of allowing him to find his mat to poo and pee, I'm going to take him outside to do it. And then same thing, when I release him early in the evening, I'm going to take him outside to do it. And when I'm spending time with him indoors, I might miss it. So then he can do it on the mat inside. That way, ultimately, you're teaching him to eventually get used to doing it outside. And that's also a good thing, because when he grows up, you'll be able to hold it in until you let him outside to do his business. So those are the first things I want you to be mindful of, so that you understand that it's important for him to get comfortable living in his crate as his personal space. But that doesn't prevent you from having your own playtime with him whenever you feel like it. And then, he gets to run around with you everywhere. So When it comes to the things that you can practice with him consciously to help him to continue to grow properly, I want you to, first of all, get used to walking him the right way. Why? Because walking him is one of the best ways to bond with him in a very unique way. When you walk your dog, you're bonding with him more as a leader and a guide than in any other scenario. Because when you're playing with him, you're just a friend. So sometimes he might look at you even like another dog if you're too friendly with him. If you're letting him on your bed, you're sleeping on the same bed and all that, he will begin to look at you as on the same level, right? So he might not really be respectful or really obedient towards you. So it's always good to set boundaries and let him see that, okay, I am your guide, I am your leader, I am the one that you should listen to, I am the head of the pack. So that he's always going to look up to you for approval before he does certain things, or look up to you for guidance, so that he grows up with good behavior. So now when you take him out on a leash, because you are restraining him to being around you or being close to you already, that is a form of guidance. So if you walk with him for 30 minutes, that's 30 minutes of enforcing that principle in his mindset and his psychology. So he begins to understand your relationship in that manner more and more, right? So if you even know how to do it the proper way and you're walking him the right way, then he's going to be getting even more guidance. Because when you're walking him and he suddenly starts to go that way and you don't know what to do, then it's like he is taking the lead in those behaviors. So there's no guidance there. But because you know what to do from watching this video, then you'll do the proper thing, and that would be another form of guidance. So you'll be enforcing more and more principles of guidance with him the more you walk him. So I want you to get used to that. So first of all, when you have your leash on him and you're taking your walk, imagine when you're walking the way we were taught, you're on the left side of the road facing oncoming traffic. So you want to be between Leo and oncoming traffic. So Leo is usually going to be on your left. So I try to keep him there by holding the leash short so that he can't go too far away from me, so that if he's trying, I can easily stop him, right? And then I also make sure that there's a difference between stopping him from going where he's not supposed to and forcing him to be where I want him to be. I don't want to do the latter. I don't want to force him. I want him to be here because he wants to be here. So all I do is if he's going elsewhere, I pop the collar back. So if he's here with me, I want the collar to be loose like this. If he's lying down and I say, Leo, come. Yes, very good. I want him to get up and then be the one to walk. When I turn, I want him to turn and be the one to walk. Now, if he's going away, I just pop the collar to get him back. Pop the collar to turn, pop to speed him up, pop, pop. Yes, very good. And then use the collar to stop him. Turn around, pop the collar, and we can keep walking. When I turn around, pop the collar just to let him know we've turned. And then when I want to stop him, I use the collar to stop him. And that is all guidance. So all of these popping of the collar and then using the collar to stop him and everything is how you build that relationship of you being a guide, you being a leader, you being someone that he should look up to. So right now he's lying down. If I want us to set off, I can either call him, Leo, come. Yes. And then I keep the collar loose. I keep the leash loose, sorry. I only pop it when he's going the other way. Pop it, and then it gets back to being loose. Yes. This way, come. Yes. If he's going too far, I pop it inward to get him closer. If I turn and he's distracted, I pop it to get his attention. And then when he's walking, it should be loose just like this. And then when I want to stop, I hold it to stop him. And then we stop and we come into a sit together. That's the idea. That's how it works. So when you're walking with him, you just need to practice this popping. As you can see, I'm popping gently because he's light. He's not heavy. So you don't need to use too much force. Because when you use too much force, then he becomes uncomfortable and he doesn't enjoy the walk. So you want to do it gently. And it should be a pop, not a pull, right? It shouldn't delay. It shouldn't be a drag. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like that. Okay, so I'm not going to call him this time. I'm just going to pop. Let's go. Did you see that? Pop. Did you see that? Pop, 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 pop. Yes, good. Very good. Okay, pop. Good. Pop. This. Good. Pop. So when I want him to speed up, when he's behind me, then I pop towards me. This way. Up, let's go. Up. Up. Yes, good. This way, come. Let's go. Yes, good. Very good. Sit. Yes. So that's how that works, right? I mean, we're in the living room and we're just moving in circles and it doesn't make sense to him. That's why he's all over the place. But once you're outside and you're walking purposefully, there's so much around for him to look at. Then his focus is going to be around him. And that's where he might sometimes move a bit fast and you pop to get him closer. Move a bit outward, you pop inward to get him closer. And then whenever you want to stop, whilst he's moving, you just hold the leash shorter to stop him. And then when he stops, you say yes, you release it. So I'll just demonstrate the stopping again. So I'll just hold it to stop him. And when he stops, yes, I release it. One more time. So this way, good boy, Leo. When we get here, I just hold it to stop him there. And then most likely he will sit. And then I release it, yes. So I always say yes when he does what I want, if you've noticed. And that's the next thing I'm coming to. I want you to get used to saying yes every single time Leo does what you want him to do. So if he's looking that way and I want to get his attention, Leo, yes, very good. I said yes because he was looking that way. And when I called him, he turned to look at me. And that's what I want. So I marked the moment he turned to look at me. And by marking, I mean I said yes. So yes is a marker. So if he is already looking at me and this time I call him, then obviously I want him to come to me, right? So Leo, yes, very good. This time I said yes the moment he got up to come to me because he was already looking at me. So what I wanted in that moment was when I say your name, come. So as soon as he made a move, that was when I said yes. Super important. Even when I say, Leo, sit. Yes, very good. The moment his bum touches the floor, that is when I say yes. And it's very important to get it the moment it happens. So whenever you get it at the right moment, he learns the behavior better and better and better. Very good. Free. Yes, very good. So even when I say free and he has the opportunity to get up and be free, the moment he gets up to be free, I say yes, right? So every single thing you want him to do that he does, you mark it. You mark the behavior. And that is how dogs are trained. So if I were using a gadget, instead of saying yes, I'll be using a clicker. So every time when I say come, click, sit, click, down, click, free, click. That's how the clicker works. But then the replacement for the clicker is the word yes. So that's very important. And I want you to practice it till you are perfect. Okay. So you saw a demonstration of all of that and then how he responds to his commands. And the important thing is when you mark it with yes every time he does it, then he will keep responding properly. So the next thing is when I call him and he comes, how do I make sure that he comes to me? He's not walking around and doing so much. You use a magic power called luring. So luring is just the art of using your treats in your hand to move your dog to where you want him to be. That's also something that I want you to practice. So in order to challenge you to practice it properly, when you're about to lure your dog, take off the leash. So now the leash is off. It is just Leo and I. All I have is my voice and my magic wand, right? Which is my hand with treats. So now that we're dealing with treats, I'm going to show you what treats I am using. So I am using chicken sausage chopped up into small pieces. So anytime he does something, I will reward him with one small piece. Now, when I'm luring him, I make sure the piece is in my hand. So I hold it just like that. And then I lure. Come. Yes. Notice when he got up, I said yes. So you see how he's moving with me. Now look, we're both going to face you. Yes. Good. I got us both to face you by using the power of the lure. That is why it's important to practice it so that you can move him into positions that you want him to be in for specific reasons. Maybe you are about to take a photo right now and you wanted you both to face the camera. So it's easy for you to move him. Or you just call him, come, yes. And you want him to come right in front of you. So I have him right in front of me. Sit, yes, very good. And where is he? Right in front of me, right where I want him. Maybe I even want him between my legs. This way. Good. Yes. And where is he? Right between my legs. where I want him. So it's a very, very great way. Come, sit. This way. Good. Sit. Yes, very good. It's a very great way to move your dog, get your dog used to following, again, your guidance and your leadership, even when you call your dog or you're interacting with your dog verbally. Yes, very good. So practice luring with Leo. Always have your treat in hand and then use that to move him how you want him. Yes. Okay, sit. Yes, very good. So whenever I want him on my side, I lure him, take him all the way behind me, turn him around, and then like a U-turn, and then bring him back right beside me. Sit. Yes. And then I have him sitting right beside me. His paws are on the same line as my legs. And then when I want him in front of me, I lower him, come. Yes. All the way in front of me, turn him in a U-turn, draw him closer, and then, yes, I have him right in front of me. So practice luring Leo as well. So when I call him with the lure, I can get him here and then sit. Yes, very good. So the next thing is the sit command. What's the best way to always ask him to sit? If you noticed, I guided him with my hand, and when he got here, I said sit, but the moment I said sit, I took the hand away whilst I said it. Because I want him to get used to the command being the reason why he sits and not the treat. Yes, very good. Good boy. All right, free. Yes, good. So if I don't take it away, if I just say come and then he comes and I say sit whilst I'm holding it, then his focus is always on the treat. So it means if there's no treat, I can't get him to do anything. So instead I call him come and then sit, I take it away, yes. And then when he sits, I mark yes, and then I give it back to him. So that way now when I don't have the treat, come, good, sit, and I say sit, he sits without a treat, and then now I can give him the treat. Okay? And also the advantage is because I keep taking it away, he gets used to seeing this movement. He sees my hand do this all the time. So now if I have no treats and I call him and I don't even speak and I do this, what happens? He sits. See? So if you're practicing, get used to luring him towards you and then taking the treat away up towards your face as you ask him to sit. If you take it to your face, it also teaches him to get used to looking at you. So it's like you're teaching him to look up to you to tell him what to do. So the other way that I like to get him to sit is beside me, because when you're walking him, he's on your side. So you want him to get used to sitting beside you on both sides. And it's also a great way of practicing a routine with him. So you call him in front of you, sit, he sits. Then you lower him, come, yes. And then you bring him to your right side, sit, yes, he sits. Notice how on the right side, again, I take the treat away from him, this time above his head, because I want his focus right there. If I take it to my face, he might shift. So I just take it above his head. I say sit. When he sits, I mark yes the moment he sits, and then I give it to him. Then you can lure him to the other side. Free, yes. And then I bring him all the way this way, turn him around and sit. Yes, very good. Again, I took it up, said sit. As soon as he sat, I marked yes, and then he gets a treat. Okay, so that's how you practice luring with the command for sit. So now, if I get him used to sitting the way I want him to, the next thing is come, yes. Good. So now I want to teach him to lie down. So when I have him in front of me and I have the treats, my hands are usually in the center of my body when I'm not talking to him. So now as soon as I want him to go down, I point my finger down and say down. Yes. So when I say down, my finger is pointed and it stays pointed. And as soon as he goes down and both elbows touch the floor, that's the moment I mark. That's the moment I say yes. And then he gets the treats immediately. So I'm going to do that again. Let me free him first. Free. Yes, good. So I'm going to lure him in front of me. So I'll just lure him this way and then lure him, and then I'll stand up. Obviously, he sits because he's used to when I take the thing away from him, he sits down. And then now I just look at him and I say down. Yes. And then I reward. And free. Yes, very good. So you want to practice that again on the sides. So I'll take him to one side. Good boy. Take the treat away and say down. Yes. And reward. Then I'll lure him the other way again. Free. Good. Take him behind, U-turn, bring him to my side, take the treat away, and down. Yes, very good. And then I free him one more time. Free. Yes, very good. So that's how you practice that again. You practice it face to face and side by side. Now, the next thing is you want to make sure that he also knows how to sit from a down position. So it means when he's lying down and you say sit, you want him to be able to sit up, right? And sometimes it's tricky because when he's lying down, he's so comfortable. So why should he sit? Because he's already comfortable. So usually what I do is I motivate him. So when he's lying down. Yes, good. So now he's lying down and I want him to sit. I'm going to hold a treat above his head as the motivation. So when he can see the treat above his head, then when I say sit, he's motivated to try to rise towards the treat and sit. So it's going to look like this. Sit. Yes, very good. And then I mark the moment he sits and I reward. Now, down. Yes, very good. I'm going to do it without holding it above his head, right? And you'll see that he will still sit, but he might hesitate a little bit, right? But let's see how he does. Sit. Yes, very good. So he hesitated, just as I said, right? Because the motivation wasn't there. But if you notice something, when I said sit, I didn't repeat myself. I just waited whilst looking at him, right? And I always recommend that. Try to get used to not repeating yourself. Because dogs, they are smart, but then they also learn by following your lead. So if you're repeating yourself all the time, then your dog will just get used to you repeating yourself before he does what you want him to do. He might even enjoy it because he likes your voice. So when you say sit, he'll wait for you to say it 5 times before he does it. Or when you say lie down, he'll wait for you to say it 5 times before he does it. And you don't want that, do you? You want him to do the thing when you say it once, right? So in that case, if I say sit, I just wait. If it's taking too long, I put the motivation without talking. And have faith in him that he'll do it. And if he needs extra help, I bring it closer. And yes! And then I reward. So that's the best way to go about it whenever your dog hesitates. Say the command once, and if he's challenged, you just help him by motivating him. So sit. Yes, very good. And that's what that looks like. So for your sake, I would recommend that when he's in a down, instead of going through that, just use the motivation, because the more he does it, the more it becomes second nature to him. So it becomes automatic eventually. So practice it in a way that helps him the most. So just down. Yes, very good. Just hold a treat above his head as his motivation and make sure you have his attention first. And sit. Yes, and that's quick. And then he gets his treat. So you want to practice the same thing on your sides. This way. Yes, good. Down. Yes, very good. And sit. Yes, good. So we'll practice it on the left side. Put the treat in my left hand and lower him this way. Good. To the side and down. Yes, good. And sit. Yes, very good. And there you have that. And now I'm going to free him. Free. Yes, good boy. Very good. Do you notice that every single time I try to say yes on time, I try to say yes the moment he does what I ask him to do without forgetting? Super important. So now the next thing is I want you to practice him learning to stay in position, right? Getting him to stay, you want to call him. So Leo, come. Yes. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. I always like to practice this in the down position because down is more comfortable. So when he goes down, I mark yes. And then I step back a short distance first to make sure that he understands we are beginning this game. And then I say yes. And then I step back towards him and I say yes again and I reward him. And then I free him. Free. Yes. So that's the introduction. This is my way of gently telling him, hey, we're about to play the stay game. So the first time, I don't want to leave him and walk too far away. I just want to walk a few steps back and then come and reward him. Because remember, he's a pup, he's at the learning stage of these things. So you always want to take it gradually with him. So come. Yes. Very good. I'm going to do it again. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. And then this time I'm going to go further back, all the way to the end of the wall. Yes. And then I'm going to come back. Yes. And then reward him. And then what am I going to do next? Free him. Free. Yes. Very good. So the next stage of stay is this time I'm going to call him. Yes. Down. Yes. And this time I'll turn around when I'm walking away. And then when I turn and he's still there, yes. And then I'll come back. Yes. And then reward him. And then free him. Free. Very good. Now, the best way of encouraging him to stay, right, is by saying good boy before you leave. So if I'm going to walk away, right before I walk away, I'll tell him good boy, just so that he knows he's doing exactly what I want him to do. So it will look like this. Come. Yes. Very good. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Yes. And then I reward him. And then I free him. Free. Yes. Good. So same thing. I want to practice it side by side. So I'm going to bring him to my side this time. So I'm going to do it from here. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Good boy. And then I'm going to walk all the way to you guys. And when I turn and he's still there, yes. And then, good. So whenever he makes a mistake, this is how you correct him. So as soon as he gets up, you say no. So you try to mark the moment he makes a mistake. Then you take him back to the same spot in the same way that you left him. So I'm going to take him back and then turn him side by side again. Down. Yes. Then I'm going to say, good boy. And then I'm going to repeat. So I'm still holding on to the reward. I haven't given it to him. When I turn and he's still there, yes. Then now I get to him, I say yes. I reward. And then I free him. Free. Yes, very good. Okay, so that's how a correction works. So when you are practicing stay with him, that is always his opportunity to begin to understand what the word no means. Because we are used to telling him yes for everything. Yes, yes, yes. So when you're practicing stay with him, stay is like the most challenging thing for him at this stage. Because it's like you're asking him to do nothing and just be there. And you're even leaving him. So his urge to get up and follow you is high. Leave it, come. What's that in your mouth? Take it off. So his urge to get up and follow you is very high. And so him being able to stay there is taking a lot of impulse control. So that's why he's likely to make a mistake. And when he makes a mistake, the moment he does is the moment you say no. So as soon as he gets up, if you're leaving him, he gets up. The moment he gets up is the moment you say no. Then you take him back and then you do it again. So Leo, yes, good boy. Very good. Yes, good boy. So this time we'll practice it on the left side. This way, come. Yes, very good. Sit. Good. Down. Yes, good. Good boy. I almost forgot to say good boy, but I did. Yes. No. So I said no. Now I'm taking him back. Come. And then sit. Down. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Yes. And now I can free him. So when he gets up without me freeing him, it's a no. So I'll bring him back and then I'll free him. Come back. No, come. This way. Good. Sit. Down. Yes, good. So I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to come again. Good boy. Because I want him to get it right. Yes. Yes. And now I can free. He was faster than me again. No. Sit. Come back. Good. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Good. Free. Yes. Very good. Good boy. Very good. So what's happening is that he's getting exhausted, especially mentally, right? Because I've been talking whilst practicing. So the explaining has taken up a lot of time and the session has dragged. Because without all the talking, this wouldn't have taken more than 5 minutes, right? And if I wanted to repeat it several times, maximum 10 minutes, and we're done. And that is enough. When you're practicing with him, you want to keep it short, you want to keep it simple, you want to keep it fun. If you can tell the entire time, I'm in a good mood, and I'm trying to make sure he knows that, and I'm trying to be encouraging and all that, okay? So you want to always have that kind of mood. If you're not happy, if you're upset, maybe it's not a good time to practice with him. Wait when you're feeling better, then you can practice sessions with him. And I think you should practice about 2 to 3 times a week, okay? And that should be enough to get him to remember and also to get him to build a good relationship with you. The practice is important not just to help him to continue to do things properly, but to actually help your relationship together. Leo, come. Yes, good. Good boy. Very good. So when you're lowering Leo, here's a bonus. Whenever you're lowering him, just let him spin a little. Yes. And then you can add the word spin. So that's the first command you're going to teach him. Come. You're going to teach him this by yourself. Spin. Yes. Very good. Come. Good. Spin. Yes. Very good. Okay. So you're going to teach him that by yourself. So that gets to a point where when you just stand up and you say spin, I want him to be able to spin. That's your homework. So come. Yes. Very good. Good boy. Spin. Yes, good. Sit. Yes, good boy. Very good boy. And free. Good boy. So that's it. Thank you guys. I wish you all the best.